Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me for the first time today. My name is Lucy and today I created this look. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I've actually used a different eye base on each eye. Today I put to the test the Plouise base versus the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost eye bases. So if you want to see how I created this look and how the bases performed against one another, then do keep watching. So of course I've already filled in my brows like I always do before I start filming, and I use the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Taupe. I've also just really quickly carved under them with the Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer, and now I'm literally ready to prime my eyes. So you might have seen by the thumbnail and title of the video that I'm going to be comparing two different eyeshadow bases today. So first up, we've got the Plouise base. This is in the shade number 1, which is the base that I generally use on a day-to-day basis all the time when I do my eyeshadow, because I really love this base because it literally just makes your colours pop. Whereas on the other hand, we have the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost eye base. So this is brand new to me. I literally received this in the mail like 2 days ago, and I have used it once, hence there's a little chunk missing, but I didn't really give it a fair test and I didn't compare it to anything else. I was kind of just a bit curious about how it was going to perform. So I'm sure a lot of you already know about the Plouise base or have seen someone use it before or even have it yourselves. So this tube here is 15 milliliters of product. It is £10 and I don't know exactly how many shades it comes in. I want to say somewhere around 8, I believe, but I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. And this here has been my ride or die base since I first tried it, so it's going to be interesting to see whether the Sample Beauty one can live up to my standards of this. Now this one here is the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost, as I just said. I'm just reading off of the little leaflet that came with these. This is a full coverage eyeshadow base and concealer, so you can use it as two different purposes, whereas the Plouise base is only for eyeshadow base purpose, so you're not really supposed to use it on your skin as like a concealer or anything like that. This one also says that you can mix shade 1, which is this one I'm using here, with the matte pigments, again by Sample Beauty, to create colourful shades, which I guess is very similar to the Plouise coloured bases, so I might actually test that out in the video as well and maybe try and do something with those. I'm not actually sure how much product is in this, but it's a pretty big tub when you actually look at how much is in there, and I only used that much product on the first use. So if you think about how many times I'm going to be using this, that's quite a lot of product in there, and these do retail at £12.95 each, so they are a little bit more expensive than the Plouise bases. So let's just get started using them. So on my right eye, I'm going to go ahead and use the Plouise base, and on my left eye, of course, I'm going to use the Sample Beauty. So the Sample Beauty one comes in obviously a tub, it's not a squeezy tube, and they do also provide you with a little spatula. They say that the best way to use it is to scoop out a little bit on the spatula, then to warm it up on the back of your hand, and then to apply it to your eye. They do also say that it becomes fullest coverage when you use a brush rather than a sponge, and if you want a more natural finish, then to use a sponge. So I'm going to go for the full coverage, of course, today, so I'm going to go ahead and use a brush. So that is the shade 1 applied to my lids with the Plouise base on this side, the Sample Beauty base on this side, and they're both looking a pretty similar colour, so that's pretty good as well. I'm going to go ahead and take the Anastasia A16 brush and just start to pat that into my lid. So I'm going to give you a quick little zoom in. There's not really much happening in the way of like differences. So this one again is the Plouise side and this one is the Sample Beauty side. They honestly look really similar at the moment, and there's not obviously a lot to judge it on. However, I can already tell that the Sample Beauty one is definitely a lot more oil based. So yeah, that's how these bases are looking just on their own so far. You can kind of judge for yourselves what you think, but I think they both look pretty good so far. So for eyeshadow today, I've actually got a brand new palette that I haven't yet tried on my channel. This is the Revolution in collaboration with X Tammi Tropical Carnival Shadow Palette, and this packaging, first of all, is just beautiful. It literally is tropical vibes everywhere. This colour splash is gorgeous with the gold writing, and inside this is what the palette looks like. It is a very bright and colourful palette, and you know I love a bit of colour, so I am going to be digging in to this. Actually, just before I start on the shadow, I just want to show you the update with the creasing right now. So this side is the Sample Beauty side. It is creasing a hell of a lot in my eye crease right there. This side is creasing a little bit too, but if you look at the difference, there really is a lot more on the Sample Beauty side. I do feel like that's got something to do with what I said earlier about how much oil is in this base, but obviously it's not too much of an issue because we're literally about to go on top with eyeshadow anyway. I just thought maybe that's something you guys might want to see. So with Tammi's palette, I'm going to go ahead and start with the black shade, which is Jab Jab, and I'm just going to take that through my crease first. Okay, next up in the palette we are going in with the dark blue shade, which is the shade Navy, and just taking that on top of the black. Now I'm taking the shade Definitely, which is a beautiful teal shade, and I'm just going above that blue. Now, seeing as the Tammi and Revolution palette does not have a white eyeshadow in it, I am going to just go ahead and use the Plouise palette. This is just the original one. Unfortunately, I think this is discontinued now, so you won't be able to buy it. However, I'm just going to go ahead and take the white shade named Charm and just blend out those edges. I'm pretty sure I'm getting like some sort of cold or something because I keep needing to sneeze, you know, when it's just like lurking in your nose, and I feel like I'm going a bit nasally as well. So I'm probably jinxing myself talking about it now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean up my cut crease shape using a cotton bud and some micellar water, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the crease. So now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the Sample Beauty base, they have also said that you can mix it with their matte pigments and create like a colourful base. So obviously Plouise already has their own coloured bases. So today I've got the Hint of Mint coloured base, and I'm going to use the shade 6 pigment from Sample Beauty and try and create something similar to this and put them both to the test basically. So I've got my Sample Beauty base here. I'm just scooping out a little bit, and I'm using the Anastasia mixing tray that comes with the lip palette. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm basically just mixing this colour up onto my mixing tray. That's such a handy idea. Not only do these matte pigments work as obviously eyeshadows, but they also make coloured bases. That's really creamy as well, so I'm very excited to try. So on the Plouise side, obviously I'm taking the Plouise coloured base in the shade Hint of Mint, and I'm just going to do my cut crease with that. And then obviously taking my Sample Beauty Mix Up pigment with the same brush on the other eye. So they're a pretty good colour match. They're not exactly the same, obviously, because they are different products. This one is a little bit more greenier and this one is a little bit bluer, but I have to set them in place now anyway because they are liquid and they are oil-based products. So I'm going to set it down with some shadow anyway. So I'm taking the shade Definitely from the same palette which I used earlier in my crease, and I'm just going to pack that all over where we just put those bases. Actually, you can kind of see as well, this one is still looking so much more oily. This one is definitely more matte. I think that's the main difference I've found between these bases so far, is that one of them is definitely more oil based and one of them is a little bit more matte. But to be honest with you, it doesn't really make much of a difference. If you are someone who has naturally oily eyelids, then obviously the Sample Beauty one might not be ideal. As this look is looking very matte so far, I'm just going to go ahead and spice it up with a little bit of glitter liner. So I'm taking the Disco Pigment by Peaches and Cream, which is a beautiful silver shade, and I'm going to mix it up using the Inglot Duraline and just create a liquid version of that pigment. And then I'm just taking a really small Real Techniques detail brush and I'm going to go over that cut crease line.
2 hours later.
I'm so sorry. I basically just continued on with my eyeshadow and completely forgot to press record. So basically I just used a pigment which I think I showed you already, was the Disco Pigment by Peaches and Cream. I made it into a liquid kind of consistency with the Inglot Duraline and then did that through my crease. Then I decided that I wanted a little bit more depth on my lid. So what I did was I did one of those like ombre like fade things. So I just used a black on my lash line and then blended up up with the navy blue and eventually just sort of created this, and I'm really pleased with how it went. Again, both sides still looking really similar. I don't think that the bases have made much of a sort of difference to the shadows at all. I mean, if I'm honest with you, the colours are popping slightly more on this eye, and I know that's a little bit biased because this is my better makeup eye, but I do feel like I've been doing the exact same technique and the colours are popping a bit more on the Plouise side than the Sample Beauty side, so you can kind of judge for yourselves, but that's kind of my opinion at the moment. I'm going to quickly go away, pop some lashes on and start on my foundation. I will be back for concealer though, because Sample Beauty have claimed that their Erase and Boost base can be used as a concealer, so I will be putting that to the test as well. My voice is literally going, oh my god, I can't believe I'm getting ill. Hello, I'm back as I promised. My voice is slowly going throughout this video, but we're just gonna power through. So I'm going back in with the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost base slash concealer slash everything and anything you want to do with it. So I'm applying this with a brush underneath my eye, being careful because I've got these huge lashes on, which are, by the way, by Backstage Beauty. Can't remember the style name, I'll put it on screen, but I'm gonna apply this concealer underneath my eyes. If I'm being honest with you, I definitely don't think I would use this as a concealer. It's looking fine, like it's definitely lightened up my under eye, but not really got the most coverage. It's not really the type of concealer I would prefer to use anyway. It's also still looking very oily, and I've got quite oily skin at the moment, so I don't feel like it would be the best to work with my skin. Whilst I'm here, I'm actually going to take the shade number 10 as well with the same product, and I'm just going to use it to cream contour, just to kind of, you know, experiment, play around, see what I can do with it. So I'm first taking this on a Morphe M458 brush and just stippling that onto my cheeks. That actually works really nicely as a cream contour because it's such a, I keep saying it, but such an oily consistency and very creamy. It's blending out really nicely as a cream contour, so I definitely recommend using it as that purpose. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my face and I'll be back with you in just a sec. Alright guys, and this is the finished look I came up with testing the Plouise base against the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost eye base. I'll obviously insert some close-up video shots now, but you can decide for yourself which side you think is better. If I'm being completely honest, I still think I do prefer the Plouise side just because I feel like I've had a lot more time to experiment with it and sort of play around with different shadows and everything like that, but I definitely will be continuing to use the Sample Beauty eye base because I am really intrigued with all of the different things you can use it for. In terms of value for money, there's literally like £2 or £3 a difference between them. The Plouise one is £10 and the Sample Beauty one is £12.95, so almost £13. And to be honest with you, you do get actually a lot more product in the Sample Beauty one. Again, like I said, there's literally nothing to tell me how much is in here, so I don't actually know, but it does look for sure like there's more product in this than there is in the Plouise one. Also, the fact that you can use this for multiple different purposes. You can use it for a concealer as well, cream contour. There's just loads more things you can do with this rather than the Plouise one, which has been made purely just to be an eyeshadow base. So in that sense, I do think that this one is probably more worth your value for money. So I don't really have an overall preference. I feel like I'm definitely going to continue to use both of them for different things. So it's a win-win really. If you did enjoy watching, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, a comment below, and to hit the subscribe button if you do want to see more uploads from me in the future. Don't forget also you can follow me over on my Instagram, which is at Lsgmakeup. I will be posting this look on there very soon. And for now, I'm going to leave this here. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!